WNBA. Words I never said on this podcast until a month ago. Listen, I'm just gonna get right to the point. I like what Angel Reese is doing, and I think she's the Draymond Green of the WNBA. I love it, and I think this is what the NBA needs. And we're talking about this play that at this point would be over a week old. Obviously, the play in question, which the hard foul
Yeah.
on Caitlin Clark. This is old 2000s basketball in me. That's not a flagrant foul. That is a common foul that is going for a block that she was clearly too far away from, and yes, hit her in the head, but it was not a wind up and it was not intentional. By the letter of the law, because we got to care about player safety, it is a flagrant foul. But if you grew up playing basketball the way I did in the schoolyard, kids are getting up, you're going to the free throw line for 2 shots, no questions asked. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, I know I approached you about this topic about Clark and whatnot, and like the whole leaving her off the Olympic team. And honestly, would have been a good thing to have her get that experience, sure. But I think people, I want to say this, I think they made the right move, because here's what some folks had laid out, just reading up on all that I could think of on that whole situation with the women's Olympic roster for basketball. Caitlin Clark's not really had a real break in months. And when you think about it, and I brought this up as well, Cal Ripken Jr., the Iron Man in baseball, and I know this sounds like a bit of a detour, but it's going to make sense in a moment. Would it have been better for him to, at some point during that entire streak, take a day off? Would have been better to just do that, and then maybe he would have been even better of a player. Like, he was a Hall of Famer. No one's going to ever deny that, but to be able to go through 162 game grinds year after year without a day off from the field or just playing in general, do you know how taxing on the body that is? And let's apply something like that to Caitlin Clark's situation, where she basically was going nonstop from like fall or winter, whatever, to now. And now she's going to get a break. That is probably the most beneficial thing to her right now, is getting that break, getting a breather, mind reset, body reset, while still being able to train a little bit. Literally, like, when you go nonstop for so long, and again, Ripken, great player in baseball. I know, two different sports, but what if he had actually taken a rest every now and then instead of going for the Ironman streak? We can see what happens with Clark. Maybe she benefits from this. And the same goes for maybe one or two other snubs that people were maybe discussing about, because that guard position or whatever position was deep. Maybe this was the right move. Give her a rest. Let her acclimate. And maybe this will be the thing that allows her to keep ascending on that, potential stardom path even quicker, versus like all the others who are going to be, still continually going and going and going, because she's been going nonstop.
So I don't get why WNBA players are jealous of Clark, because, and here's why. And I understand people are like, oh, WNBA viewership is up everywhere. And I understand that. And maybe some people are sticking around to watch more WNBA games that don't involve Clark in the Indiana Fever. But the only reason why people started watching women's college basketball, and the only reason why people started watching the WNBA, is because of her. There is
Mm-hmm.
no other statistical number that tells you other. And again, it's no disrespect to any of the women that, your Sue Birds of the world and everybody else
Yeah,
in the
Brittany
history.
Griner, all those guys, Aisha Wilson, etc.
No disrespect, but nobody was watching your sport until this woman basically became the Steph Curry of the sport and transformed the sport forever. I mean, I have
Yeah.
floated out there, and I'm going to ask you this question, Sean. You may think I'm ludicrous, because I know you said baseball you think is going to be in a boom, but is
I
it
think it's going to
possible?
be this decade. I don't know when, but yeah, this decade there's going to be a boom.
Let me ask you this. Is it possible that if the WNBA does what they should be doing more of, and marketing their stars that are not Clark, instead of putting all of their eggs in the Caitlin Clark basket, is there a world one day where the WNBA takes over Major League Baseball in popularity?
That's actually an interesting hypothetical, and you got to give me a minute to think over that.
because the
Mm.
MLB doesn't market their stars, and at this point, they are the only two sports on. And I think if you put a rating by ratings comparison of, if you put them on the same networks of ESPN, let's say a Sunday night baseball game and a Caitlin Clark WNBA game, I bet you the WNBA game is getting more viewers.
I think you have a good point there. The only reason I'm going to say no is because with a lot of male viewership, I don't think there's going to be as many folks. Like it's grown, obviously, but I think that's the part where like there's going to be just guys out there who are just stuck in their ways and they're not going to be brought in no matter what. There's no hook, no lure for them. I'm not talking about the older folks on the baseball side. I'm just talking about just men in general. And that's the part where it's like I think the sport can get close within the WNBA and Major League Baseball. I just don't know if it'll overtake it, mainly because there's so much at play and there's all this societal stuff that I don't want to really dive into too deeply because I doubt a lot of people on this podcast are going to care too much. But I think that's the one thing that's having me hesitantly say no. But I think there can be a case made where maybe it could happen, but I don't know because women's sports don't get the same, bump that the
And
men's
they're
sports do
still
most
not, as
often.
I said, ESPN is still not really doing a great job, in my opinion, of promoting the WNBA and
Yeah.
promoting Clark for that matter. So, like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.